All right, we're recording now. Okay, family mealtime should be a fun time to enjoy each other while enjoying family meals. Every family has their own way of creating and eating meals together. So right now, just take a second and think about, what does your family like to do at mealtime? And there's no right or wrong answer. This is just a moment for you to reflect on your family's habits. And while you do that, I'll give you some examples from my house. So I have two kids that are 10 and 11. And so we don't always have time for a family dinner because there's sports and there's drama club. And sometimes I teach at night or do workshops at night. I was at Myers Middle School last night for the evening in the garden. So it's hard to get everybody together. So a lot of times what I'll do is sit down after school and have a snack with the kids. And that's a way for me to connect. And that's our family meal for that day. Or my husband will pick it up and say, Mom's not here tonight, but let's all have dinner. Another thing we like to do is on Sundays, I always cook a big breakfast, and the four of us always sit down and have breakfast together. All families look different. Everybody's schedules are different. Some people don't have to work at night the way that I do. So they can do family meals in the evening, and then some people work every night. So maybe breakfast is going to be a little bit better. So just take a minute and think about your schedule, what your family does now. And then in the chat box, just share with me if any of you do have meal habits that your family does. And you can just type yes or no into the chat box. And remember, there's no right or wrong answer. Erratic meals, not yet. Yeah. Dinner time when possible. That's another good one too. If dinner time isn't possible every night, even if it's aiming for 3 nights a week, right? Talk about our day and catch up. That's great. All right, well, thank you for sharing. All right. Oh, 20-year-old son. I haven't gotten to that point yet, so I can only imagine. You have to get creative with that one. Yeah, I have them thinking once they're in high school, we're going to have to change some of our routines, but that's okay. You just have to change it with how your family changes. But thanks everybody for sharing. We know it's important to enjoy each other while enjoying family meals. So now let's think about what we can do to make sure everyone is eating the right amount and types of food that we enjoy. Remember, everyone is different. Kids need to eat the right kinds of foods to grow. Adults need to eat foods to reach or maintain a healthy weight and prevent obesity. Obesity can increase the risk of diseases such as diabetes and heart disease. The more we move our bodies, the more likely we are to stay at a healthy weight. Being physically active helps to burn off some of the calories we eat. But if we eat too much food, we'll gain weight and won't lose weight, even if we are physically active. And it goes the other way too. If you are physically active and you do engage in a lot of physical activity, that means you have to consume more calories. And everyone can use My Plate to plan a balanced meal. So let's look at how to do that. Since this is an introductory session, we're just going to look at adults, and the average female adult needs about 2,000 calories per day. So that's what we're going to look at for the recommendations here. And then in the next couple of weeks, we'll get more into kids and teenagers. My Plate gives us a good visual of how we should plan our meals out for the day. The first thing to stand out is half of what you eat throughout the day should be fruits and vegetables. For that average female that's eating 2,000 calories a day, that should be about 2 cups of fruit. And you want to make sure you eat a variety of fruit that is in different colors. You can choose fresh, frozen, canned, or dried food. If you went to any of my previous sessions, you know that frozen and canned are just as nutritious as fresh, sometimes even more so during the winter time when fresh is getting shipped in from somewhere. So what is 1 cup, right? A medium-sized fruit is equal to 1 cup. So this is a plum here, but the same is true for, say, like an apple, a banana, a peach, anything that size fruit. You can think of a baseball. Sometimes I say, think of the size of your fist. If it's about the size of a baseball or your fist, that's going to be 1 cup. And I can tell you on busy days when I know I have a lot of classes, I always just grab an apple and carry that around with me because it'll keep me from stopping somewhere and getting some potato chips because I'm starving in between classes. And I know I've got a good healthy meal and I know that I'm getting 1 cup. Now, juice does count. You want to make sure it says 100% juice though. So there's a lot of different juice drinks out there. If it doesn't say 100% juice right on the label, then that means that it's got added sugar and it's got artificial flavors in it. So look for that 100% juice. And for adults, you should be having 1 cup of juice a day if you go for juice. And for kids, you should have only half a cup a day. Otherwise, you want to focus on whole fruit. And that means like eating the orange instead of having the orange juice. So try to keep that in mind. Adults should have no more than 1 cup and kids should have no more than half a cup. And beyond that, you want to make sure you're having whole fruit. And kids take the lead from you. If they see you eating fruits and veggies, your kids will probably eat fruits and veggies too. So make sure you're eating in front of them and, setting a good example too. And that moves us to our next one, which is 2.5 cups of vegetables per day is what we should be eating. And you want to vary your veggies and eat the rainbow. Pick vegetables of different colors and try to make most of them lower in starch. Most people need more leafy greens, red, and orange vegetables than they eat. We say eat the rainbow because all of those colors bring different types of vitamins and minerals, and your body needs them all. So remember, make half of your plate fruits and vegetables. One way to do that is to make sure that every meal you have include a fruit or vegetable, even if it's your snack. All right, let's take a look at grains. The recommendation for grains is 6 ounces per day. Some examples of 1 ounce is a slice of bread or half cup of cooked pasta or other grains like a half cup of cooked rice or 3 cups of popped popcorn. You want to make sure at least half of your grains are whole grains. Refined grains like white bread and rice lack iron, fiber, and B vitamins that you need. So look for this symbol that you see right here so you know that you're getting whole grains. If you don't see that symbol, you can also check the label too. And the very first ingredient should say whole wheat or whole oats. You're going to see whole as the very first ingredient, and that way you know you're getting a whole grain. If it says multigrain, enriched, or wheat bread, that doesn't mean whole grain. So look for the symbol or read the labels. And if you don't like the taste of whole wheat pasta, you can try popcorn, oats, brown rice. You can try mixing them to get used to the taste of it. So you have half white pasta and half whole wheat, and then slowly taper off of the white pasta. We do that with rice too. We suggest that with rice. So just remember to power up with those whole grains. Now let's look at our protein intake. The dietary recommendation is 5.5 ounces of protein per day. This one's important because a lot of people have more protein than they're supposed to have. And that 5.5 ounces also is dependent on how much exercise you're getting and what type of exercise you're getting. This is just for the average person that is doing moderate intensity physical activity. Also remember, protein foods that are high in saturated fat can lead to weight gain, obesity, heart disease, and other health problems. So leaner proteins are the better choice. Things like beans, nuts, seeds, fish, skinless chicken breasts, poultry, and eggs are all good lean choices. I like to have a meatless night a couple of nights a week. So like this week, I had a busy couple of nights. So I made a big thing of beans and greens, which is like a soup with white beans and different greens in it. And I didn't put any type of meat in it. So I cooked on the night that I had time. And then for 2 nights, actually, we had the leftovers next night. So both nights were meatless nights. Well, we all had enough protein because of what we were eating throughout the day. And then we had the beans in the soup. So the beans are a great, inexpensive way to make sure you're getting the protein that you need. And the same thing is true for eggs too. That's another inexpensive, high protein source. And when it comes to meat and fish, about the size of your palm is going to be 3 ounces. So try to think of it that way when you're considering how much to make or how much to eat. And a 1/4 cup of cooked beans is 1 ounce. And the same is true for nuts and seeds. About a 1/4 cup is going to be 1 ounce. And then a large egg is usually about 2.5 ounces. So those are some good visuals to try and keep in mind when you're trying to reach that 5.5 ounces. And remember to vary your protein routine and get it from different sources. Okay, so finally, let's look at dairy. The recommendation for dairy is 3 cups if you're including dairy into your diet. If you're not including dairy into your diet, there are other ways to get the calcium and protein. So you just have to make sure that you're watching out for that. Because a cup of Greek yogurt can be a great source of lean protein. But if you're not eating dairy, then you just want to look at other ways to get it. And you want to try to move to low fat and fat free. And it's best to avoid added sugar. So this one I like to bring up just because most of the yogurt that you find in the store is going to be high in sugar. So read the labels and try to figure out which ones have the least amount of sugar, or just get plain yogurt and then add some granola and fruit to it to sweeten it up. And remember, strong bodies need strong bones. Okay, we're just going to watch a quick video because I just threw a lot of information at you. Oops. I share my sound. This is just a review of everything we went over.
Eating healthy is important. The foods and drinks you choose for meals and snacks can help you be healthier now and in the future. And it's more than eating one healthy meal or one healthy snack. Your food choices add up and they all matter. So where to start? First, choose foods from all 5 food groups throughout the day and throughout the week. Fruits, vegetables, grains, protein foods, and dairy. Your fruits and vegetables can be fresh, frozen, dried, or canned. Try roasting or steaming them as a healthful option. Try starting your day with whole grains, like oatmeal or whole grain cereal. For extra flavor and crunch, add your favorite fruit or a handful of nuts. Stuck in the same old routine? Mix up your protein foods. Try seafood twice a week. And enjoy milk and yogurt in recipes or on their own. Read labels and ingredient lists to compare foods and choose healthier options. Across all of your choices, drink and eat less sodium, saturated fat, and added sugars. And hey, we know it's not always on a plate. It's about making shifts no matter where you are. Start with small changes to make healthier choices you can enjoy. Small changes add up to big wins. For more information, visit choosemyplate.gov.
All right. Okay. As we saw in the video, everything you eat and drink over time matters. The amount of food your family eats is important. My plate recommendations are for an average adult that's moderately active that we just went over. So just keep in mind that adults that are very physically active or not active at all, it's going to vary on how much you should be eating. And the same thing with kids, age 2 to 8 will need a little less food, but then when you have growing teenagers, they're probably going to need more than what our average is going to be. Okay, so the pictures you see here are a meal plan that I put together, and I'm gonna walk you through it and how I met my recommendations for the day. So we're gonna start with breakfast. I had a 1/2 cup of low-fat milk with a 1/2 cup of berries and a cup of oats. So let's say that you don't like oats. What other ideas can you guys come up with on how we can add in that whole grain? Go ahead and share that in the chat box. Whole wheat toast, yep. Whole wheat toast with some berries. Maybe a slab of peanut butter on there for a little protein. We could also try maybe some whole grain cereal too. You just have to check cereal to make sure that it's low in sugar. Brown rice cake, yep, that could be done too. Yeah, so those are some good ideas. So you can see here with this, I had a half cup of fruit, 2 ounces of grains, and a half cup of dairy. So that's a good start for the first meal of the day. So now let's look at lunch. I'm going to have a salad with 1.5 cups of vegetables and then top it with 3.5 ounces of salmon. And I'll have a 2-ounce roll with it with a cup of milk. So let's say that you don't like salmon. What's another thing that we could choose besides salmon? Chicken, yeah, skinless chicken breast. Tuna, yes, tuna is a great source of protein and it's also low cost when you get like the canned tuna or even the canned chicken too. Extra lean beef. This week I made some ground turkey that I put in pitas and I used some of that on my salad for lunch the next day. Tofu, yes, great non-animal source. Or even say a hard-boiled egg would be a good one to go on there too. Okay, so we've got 2 ounces of grains with a roll. We've got 1 cup of dairy. We have 3.5 ounces of protein and then 1.5 cups of vegetables. Okay, so now it's snack time. I'm going to make a smoothie by blending a banana with a half cup of frozen blueberries. I have a half cup of milk and 1 cup of plain fat-free yogurt. And then to go along with it, I'm going to have 1.5 cups of popcorn. This is one of my favorite snacks, but it's also my kids' favorite snacks too. So usually I'll make a really big smoothie and a big thing of popcorn. And then when they get home from school, that's what they'll have too. And with this snack, we've got 1.5 cups of fruit, a half cup of grains, and then 1.5 cups of dairy. All right, so now let's look at dinner. I'm going to have 1 cup of frozen mixed vegetables, and I'm going to have it with 1.5 cups of whole wheat pasta. And since I had salmon at lunch, I decided to make this meatless, and that's going to help cut back on saturated fat and save money. So I went with canned white beans for my protein. And just to be sure, I want to make sure that everybody knows if you do use canned beans or canned veggies, you want to make sure you rinse them well because they can have some added sodium to them, and rinsing them gets rid of most of the sodium. So this is perfect for our last meal. I've got 1.5 ounces of grains, 2 ounces of protein, and 1 cup of vegetables. So now let's add everything up and see if I reach my goals. Between breakfast and snack, I ended up with 2 cups of fruit. I had enough vegetables during lunch and dinner to equal 2.5 cups. Under the protein category, I had a healthy source of protein with salmon and beans, and that equaled 5.5 ounces. I had grains with every meal today, and that came out to 6 ounces, and also gave me good sources of energy to go throughout the day. And I had enough low-fat and fat-free dairy to reach the recommended 3 cups. As you can see, I made my goals for the day with flavorful meals and even putting in an hour of moderate physical activity. You're not going to be hungry at the end of the day. And this can look like a lot, and it is a little bit when you first start trying to pay attention to it. But I can tell you, I don't actually measure anything anymore. I just kind of roll with it because I have a good idea in my head of how to put all of this together now. So when you first start out, it is a little bit overwhelming. It can be a lot to try and keep track of it, but you'll find that it starts to become automatic and just a part of how you plan your meals out throughout the week and throughout the day. All right, so in addition to meeting the recommendations, I ate a variety of color. I made half of what I ate fruits and vegetables. I followed the vary your protein routine by choosing salmon and beans, and I also went lean with protein. All the grains except my roll with lunch were whole grains, so at least half of my grains were whole grains. And I stuck to low fat and fat-free dairy choices with no added sugar. So we're going to move on to the next topic, but before I do, I just want to make sure that everybody's clear on the dietary recommendations and see if anybody has any questions. You can feel free to unmute or put it in the chat box.
I had a question, Kim. Usually most shakes I see have bananas in them.
Mm-hmm.
I am not gonna lie, I cannot stomach. I don't know. I've tried it. I can't do a banana shake. I
Yeah, you
love
don't have
bananas,
to
so
have
I can
banana in
eat
it.
them, but I just can't. Once they're squished, I can't seem to eat them.
Yeah, so
I
that's a
don't know what
texture
that is.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
You can
does it
stick
have
to
the
just
same
frozen
qualities you would
berries.
say?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is to have all different types of fruit, right? So if you like
Okay,
to
no
eat
matter
a
how.
banana,
Okay.
then
Okay.
maybe in your shake, you know what else I get sometimes? I'll get peaches that's packed in water or
Yes, I've had
100%
those,
juice.
and I drain them. Yes.
Well, you don't even have to drain them in a smoothie. If you put it in a shake like that, you can just put that right in as part of like the liquid that's going to help liquefy everything. So
Okay.
there's all different ways to put a smoothie together, but the idea is just to eat a variety of different fruits.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it's the same. It gives me like the same, because I was thinking like, wait a minute, because I've seen where they boil bananas and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, I just wanted to make sure I was getting it the correct way.
Yeah, you don't have to have a banana in it. You can just eat the banana. Does anyone else have questions right now? All right, we will move on then. So I know I mentioned this just a minute ago, but when you're starting out, just keep in mind that a bigger bowl can make things look smaller than they are, and a smaller bowl can make things look bigger than they are. So using measuring cups can be a great way to start out. And like I said, it is like a little bit more work for you, but it does become automatic, and you're just slowly going to change those eating habits so that you're getting everything that you need. All right, so now let's talk about how to get everything onto the table that while following those dietary guidelines. So how do you choose food for you and your families? Do you plan meals out ahead of time, or are you under stress every time somebody asks, what's for dinner? What benefits do you think come from planning your meals out? That's something that you can share in the chat box too. Whether you do or you don't, what benefits do you think there are to planning your meals out? Not having to run out for ingredients. Yep. Less stress. Not having to run to the drive-through to grab something, right? You've got food at home. Makes it healthier and less expensive. That is most important, right? Save money, choose healthier options, and you get the right amount of everything that you need. Yep. Doing it at the last minute causes too much takeout, yes, and not diversifying because you're like, oh, we'll just go, we know we like it here, we'll go get this, right? Yeah, that's a great point. So like you saw in the chat box, everybody said this, planning your meals can help you save time, save money, and eat healthy. And it also causes less stressful meal times. It's best to make meals at home so that you can control what's in your food. Taking a few minutes to plan meals that your family will enjoy can help you save time and money. So start by looking through your pantry and freezer to see what you have on hand. Plan your meals as best you can with what you already have. That'll help you to save money, which we all need to do right now because it is expensive to buy food. So look for recipes that have fewer ingredients and list nutrition information. And be sure to include all of the food groups and keep my plate in mind. When you're looking at recipes, you want to look for words like bake, broil, roast, and grill, because those are the healthiest methods, and try to stay away from frying foods. You can add a lot of flavor by seasoning your foods with your favorite spices and herbs instead of salt. And you can find low-cost healthy recipes at snapedny.org. I'm going to put that in the chat box right now in case anybody has not checked it out yet, because it is a great resource to find low-cost, easy meals. So check out our website. There's all kinds of food demos and everything on there that you can check out. Okay, so once you've looked through what you have, then you can plan your meals out and make a shopping list for the things that you don't have. And use a nutrition facts label on foods when you're shopping for information on saturated fat, added sugar, and sodium. And choose foods that are lower in those three things. The first three ingredients on the label is usually going to make up most of the food item. So look for foods that aren't high in sugar, fat, and oil, or have them listed at the end of the ingredient list. And stick to your list and stay out of those aisles that don't have what's on your list, so you're not tempted by unhealthy options that are going to drive your food prices up and have you bring home foods that aren't as healthy. Don't go to the store hungry, or you'll be tempted to buy unhealthy items that are not on your list and break your budget. I have to remember this one too, even when I'm working, because I have to shop a lot for work because I do live cooking demos. And I always have to remember to have a snack in my car that's healthy that I eat before I go shopping, so I'm not grabbing something that isn't good for me. All right, remember to make mealtime a priority in your house. You can cook, eat, and clean up together. Make it a family thing. Plan your meals as we discussed. Avoid stress at mealtime by planning a weekly menu. I like to sit down on Sunday and do this. That works for my schedule. It only takes me about 10 minutes because I've been doing it for so long. It's one of those things that it might take you a little bit longer if you're just starting to do it. Once you start doing it, you're going to get used to it, and you can do it in 10 minutes like I do now. And remember to think beyond dinner. If evenings are too hectic in your house, consider other meals for family time, such as a weekend brunch or even an afternoon snack. That family time that you sit down to have a meal together helps give good representation to the kids about what they should be eating, and it also helps you to focus on each other. And keep meals fun and focused. It should be media-free, stress-free zone. So set the cell phone down. Remember to unplug, interact, and focus on each other. And now that my oldest son has a cell phone, he also is not allowed to have it anywhere near the house or the table when it's time to eat. I even get after my husband about it. All right, now we're going to talk about that energy balance that we talked about in the beginning. So we've reviewed the best ways to plan and prepare our family meals. We need to talk more about balancing calories we consume with healthy meals in order to maintain a healthy weight. Calories are the energy in your food. They allow us to do things that we love to do. But if we have too many calories and not the right type of calories, we're not active, that throws our weight and overall health off balance. And the same is true if you're very active. So if you're very active, you're going to need to consume more calories. Physical activity does not need to be a day at the gym unless that's what you love to do. If you really like to go to the gym and you can afford it, that's great. But it can be expensive to go to the gym, and it does take some time. And especially with a family, it can be hard to find that time and motivation. So think about ways you and your family can stay physically active together that maybe isn't going to the gym. My family likes to go for a walk after dinner. We have dogs, so taking the dogs out for a walk after dinner is a way for all of us to go. We don't always have dinner together, but the nights that we do, we try to get that walk in, even if it's 10, 15 minutes. Going for a bike ride on the weekends is another thing that we like to do. Some families like to go play basketball. So just try to think of ways that everybody can get active together. If you have younger kids, when I would bring my kids to the playground, I would sit and read and let them play so I could have a break. But I would take maybe 10 minutes and chase them up and down the stairs and run around, go down the slide. And that would be my 10 minutes of activity that I got in addition to taking that little break and reading my book for a little while. So what's the right amount of activity everybody should be having? Young children between 2 and 5 years old should play actively throughout the day. Playtime helps young children grow and develop. So choose to let them play instead of watching television and try to limit that time in front of screens. Kids 6 years and older need at least 60 minutes of physical activity every day. Encourage your kids to participate in sports, outdoor activities, and games with friends such as tag. I have one son, my younger one doesn't really like organized sports that much, so we find other ways for him to be active. He likes to go to like the Ninja Lab sometimes, or we'll go to the rock climbing wall at the playground and he'll do that. So there's always ways to get kids active. And you can even dance together. We have dance parties, going for a walk, doing yard work. Right now, we all kind of have to do some yard work. So think of things like that. Adults need at least 2.5 hours of moderate intensity physical activity per week. If you increase time and intensity, you're going to get stronger. So if you are currently inactive, just start by adding like 10 minutes a day. And then if you do that for a week or 2 weeks, you're going to find that you can do more and more as you go along. And try to find ways to be active with your family throughout the day. All right, does anybody have any questions on energy balance at this point?
No.
All right. Here is our review then. Remember each day to eat the recommended amount of food from each food group. Plan your meals out ahead of time to save time and money. And that way you can unplug your devices and enjoy each other while enjoying family meals. And eat smart to play hard so you can be active and have fun together. So I'm going to put a poll up really quick. And here are some goals that you can work on. And just pick at least one from each of the questions. And you can pick more than one for this poll, but try to pick one from each question. And this will help you to set some goals for the next week. Once you finish, be sure to scroll down to the bottom and hit submit too. Looks like just about everybody's done here.
What did you say when we're finished? What to do?
Make sure you scroll down to the bottom and hit submit. Okay, great. I'm going to share these with you guys. So in our first question, it looks like eating foods from each food group is the #1 goal, but everybody's, looks like there's a few other goals in there. Using the measuring cups. It's a great way to get started, and you will get used to looking at it so you're not always pulling out measuring cups and trying to measure everything. Visiting the local farmers market. I'm going to be doing that this weekend for the first time in a couple of months. Most of the outdoor ones are opening up. And then on the bottom here, looks like walk or ride bikes to school and play dates. I did see PAL has something that they're holding at JCC, and then another one on Henry Johnson Boulevard that goes over bike safety with kids. So there's one this weekend at JCC if you guys are interested. And then next weekend, it's going to be at the Albany Police Headquarters on Henry Johnson Boulevard. And I've taken my kids to it, but they go over bike safety and they give them a quiz, and it's a good program. Being physically active, taking the stairs instead of an elevator. Yeah. So yeah, there's lots of good things. And just being active with the kids, even if it's for 10 minutes a day. I know when they're young, they can be exhausting. So trying to jump in and be active with them for just 10 minutes and then kind of do your own thing might be the way to go. All right. I am going to stop sharing this screen now. I have a couple of more polls for you guys to do. The other two are for my paperwork. I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to get up our cooking demo for the week while you guys fill that out. Okay, thank you for filling that out. We're going to watch putting together a taco night for our cooking demo tonight, and then I'll have one more poll afterwards, so stick around to fill that out for me for my paperwork too. There it is.
This is a SnapEd New York video presentation.
Welcome to Taco Night.
Hi everyone, it's Kim with Cornell Cooperative Extension. I work with our SnapEd program. Today I'm going to walk you through how to set up a taco station. It's an easy and fun way for everyone to get something that they love because you pick your own toppings. First, let's take a look at my plate. On our taco station, we're going to have several different vegetables available for everyone. As you can see, half of what you eat throughout the day should be fruits and vegetables, so it's good to have so many choices. Instead of having meat, I chose to spice up some black beans for our protein. And then we have taco shells under our grain and an option to put some cheese on. That falls under the dairy section. So let's get started on setting things up.
My first option for a topping is guacamole, and I'll walk you through how to make that. We're going to spice it up with some lime, cilantro, garlic, and tomato. I usually would throw some onion in too, but I'm going to saute my onion with some peppers for another topping. Start by opening up the avocado and scooping it out. Avocados are a good source of healthy fats that are good for your heart. Then we're going to mash it up with a fork. Now we can chop up everything else and throw it in. Squeeze in the lime and stir it all up. Topping option number 2. I have some red bell pepper and onion sliced up and jalapeno that I diced up. Heat your pan on medium-high heat. Once it's hot, add some vegetable oil and slide your veggies on. I'll leave them on there for about 5 minutes. If you don't like it spicy, you can leave off the jalapeno. Or if you have other veggies you like better, you can substitute just about any kind of vegetable to put on the taco. I flavored my veggies with cumin, salt, and pepper. I like the smoky flavor of cumin, but you may have other spices you like. Experiment with what you have on hand. Gotta love that sizzle. The last thing I need to do is heat up my black beans and warm my tortilla. It's important to vary your protein routine throughout the week. Beans are a great way to substitute meat and go lean with protein. I have my beans mixed with green chilies, adobe, salt, and pepper. You can play around with your spices to see what you like. While the beans sit on medium-low heat, I'll warm up my tortilla.
Heat your pan to medium heat, add a little bit of vegetable oil, and then cook the shell for about 3 minutes on each side. I've assembled all my toppings here. You see my guacamole that I made and sauteed peppers and onions. I have store-bought salsa. When I was at the store and deciding what kind of salsa to buy, I compared the sodium between brands and was sure to get one that was low in sodium. I also checked to make sure there was no added sugar. There's no need to put sugar in salsa. You can always make your own too, if you want. There's lots of recipes online that you could find. Here I have some shredded cheese. Cheese falls into the dairy group and is a good source of calcium. I chose low-fat cheese because cheese has saturated fat, which isn't good for your heart. So low-fat is the best choice. And here I have my black beans that I cooked up. That's our protein. Now that I've assembled my taco station, it's time to assemble my taco. I like it all, so everything's going on mine. I even decided to get some greens from my garden to add some fresh flavor to my vegetables.
So what do you guys like on your tacos? Do you like different sauces, other vegetables that you might put on there? Feel free to put that in the comments below. And if you make a taco station, share it with us. I'd like to see the picture.
Thank you for joining us today. We know.
All right. Okay, I have one more poll for you guys. So just get that filled out for me and then we'll be done. And at this time, if anybody has questions, you can unmute, put them in the chat box. You know, it's funny watching that video. That was one of the first videos I made at home when the pandemic first came, probably April 2020. I'd never made home videos. I didn't know what I was doing, and just looking at the editing and everything, I've come a long way in the last couple of years in that. Looks like everybody's just about done. If you have finished the poll and you don't have any questions, you can go ahead and log off. Next week, we're going to be doing, I think, family meals is next week. So we'll go over some more ideas on putting together family meals. Like I said, this was just an introductory session. So the next few are going to be more concentrated on working with the kids and trying to get everybody in. Good grains, sure. Brown rice is one of my favorites. It's inexpensive. It's easy to find. I also like bulgur. I think bulgur is really good in soups. It's one of my favorite in soups. Farro is one that my husband that is not crazy about whole grains. I can get him to eat with some pesto, Farro is spelled F-A-R-R-O, and that's another good choice. Those are probably my three favorite ones. You can look for polenta too. Polenta is a whole grain. It's a little bit more laborious to cook. And it doesn't store as well as the other ones, but it is something you can make if you've got time on, say, like a Sunday and you're looking to make something. But stuff that's easy to store and freeze and make in big batches are those grains that I just mentioned, like bulgur, barley. Barley is good in soups too. They do take longer to cook. So you want to cook in big batches and then maybe freeze it if you're not going to eat it all too. So just keep that in mind. All right, all the polls are done. Let me see, what else have we got in here? There's some people saying thank you. So thank you to all of you too. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you all next week. Have a great Mother's Day too.
Same to you. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.